Most women don't realize this, but what you say during those intimate moments can change everything. You see, men remember more than just the physical connection. They remember the words that wrap around their hearts when they're at their most vulnerable. And here's the truth. The right words at the right moment can echo in his mind long after the moment has passed. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why some women become unforgettable? Why some men can't stop thinking about that one girl even years later? It's not always about how she looked, or even how she touched him. It's about how she made him feel in the moments where his guard was completely down. And that's where most women miss the opportunity of a lifetime. Because here's the secret. When a man is physically close to you, his emotional walls are temporarily down. His subconscious is wide open. And that's when you can speak directly to his heart and mind in a way that no one else can. But most women say generic things. They speak without strategy, without depth, and without leaving a mark. And they wonder why they become forgettable. In this video, I'm going to give you something different. I'll show you the exact words and psychological phrases that will bond him to you on a level most women can't even reach. Words that will make his heart race. Words that will replay in his head when he's alone. And words that will make him feel like no other woman could ever replace you. Let's dive in. Because after today, he'll never hear your voice the same way again. Emotional bonding with a man doesn't start with the grand gestures or the perfect date. It starts in the tiny, almost invisible moments where his heart feels something he can't explain. And the most powerful of these moments often happen when he's vulnerable, especially during intimacy. This is when his logical guard drops and his emotional mind quietly takes the lead. Most women think men are only physically driven, but that's only half the truth. The men who stay, who commit, who obsess, they don't stay for physical connection alone. They stay because of the emotional experience they attach to you. And that's something you can create if you know the right psychological triggers. One of the most effective triggers is validation of his hidden self. You see, every man carries silent insecurities and private fears that he rarely shares. In those tender moments when you softly acknowledge his strength, his patience, or his unique way of loving you, you touch the part of him that craves emotional safety. You're not just appreciating what he does, you're recognizing who he is, and that strikes deeper than you think. Another powerful trigger is exclusive language. When you use words that make your connection feel rare, like "I've never felt this safe before," or "No one else makes me feel this way," you create a private emotional world that only exists between the two of you. Men crave to feel like they're the exception. When you give him that feeling, you become irreplaceable. Also, don't underestimate the power of future anchoring. Phrases like "I can't wait to feel this with you again," or "I love the way we always lose ourselves in each other," subtly plant the idea that this connection is not just for now, it's ongoing, it's special, and it's growing. His mind will start to naturally project you into his future because you've already spoken about it in a loving, confident way. And then there's emotional mirroring. When he expresses even small feelings, repeat and affirm them. If he says, "I love how close we are right now," you can softly say, "I feel that too. I've never felt this kind of closeness before." It might sound simple, but these moments build subconscious trust and attachment faster than most women realize. The biggest mistake women make is thinking their silence is enough. While touch is powerful, it's the combination of touch and carefully chosen words that creates the emotional glue. Men remember how you made them feel heard during the most intimate moment. They remember the words you whispered when they were completely open to you. They remember when you saw the man behind the body, the man behind the performance. If you speak to his body, you'll have his attention. But if you speak to his heart, you'll have his loyalty. And that's where emotional bonding truly begins. There's one phrase, a simple, subtle hook, that most women overlook because it feels almost too soft, too easy. But in reality, it's the kind of phrase that lingers in a man's mind long after the moment has passed. It's the kind of phrase that unexpectedly replays in his thoughts while he's driving, working, or even lying awake at night. This is the phrase that gently tugs at his emotions and begins to redefine how he sees you. The phrase is, "I feel so safe with you." Now, before you dismiss it as something ordinary, let's break down why this is a psychological weapon when used in the right moment. You see, most men, whether they admit it or not, carry a deep desire to protect the woman they love. Even in today's world where relationships are evolving, this instinct remains hardwired. A man wants to feel needed, but more importantly, he wants to feel that he's enough to provide you with emotional and physical safety. When you softly say, "I feel so safe with you," especially during a moment when he's holding you close, when his heart is racing and his walls are down, You send a direct message to his subconscious. You're exactly what I need, and I trust you completely. That level of emotional confirmation creates a bond that is difficult to shake. But it doesn't stop there. The magic is in how you say it. Your tone, your timing, and your eye contact make this phrase unforgettable. You can't toss it out casually. You have to say it when he's closest to you, when his breathing slows, when the world seems to disappear for just the two of you. You gently hold his gaze, your voice soft, maybe even slightly breathless, and you let those words wrap around him like a secret you've never told anyone else. That's when the phrase transforms from simple to unforgettable. Why? Because now it's personal. It's not a compliment. It's a confession. It's not about him being attractive. It's about him being essential. And that distinction matters deeply to a man's emotional core. You see, most women think saying, "You're handsome," or "You're so good at this," will win his heart. But those compliments focus on his appearance or his performance, things that can fade or be outdone by someone else. When you say, "I feel so safe with you," you're praising who he is, not what he does. That's what leaves a lasting imprint. This phrase becomes even more powerful when it's unexpected. Most people are silent in intimate moments, or say what's typically heard. When you gently break that pattern and whisper something that touches his emotional instinct, you create a unique memory that stands out in his mind. And here's the psychological trigger. A man becomes emotionally addicted to what makes him feel like a protector. If you can anchor that feeling to you, he begins to associate you with his purpose, his strength, and his sense of worth. That's why this subtle hook isn't just a compliment. It's a seed of emotional dependence that grows every time he remembers it. It's the kind of phrase that will echo in his mind over and over, because you didn't just touch his body, you reached into the part of him that longs to be needed and cherished. So the next time you're close, don't rush the moment. Look into his eyes, soften your voice, and when he least expects it, give him this phrase, not as a line but as your honest truth. "I feel so safe with you." He will never forget it. There's something incredibly powerful about being the woman who can reach places in a man's heart that even he doesn't fully understand. Every man, no matter how tough, distant, or emotionally guarded he appears, carries a secret desire to feel truly seen. Not just as a partner, but as a human being with flaws, dreams, and silent battles. Most people never get close enough to touch this hidden part of him. They focus on his surface, what he does, what he looks like, how he makes them feel. But the few women who know how to unlock his emotional core, they become unforgettable. They create a bond he never saw coming. There's a phrase that softly slides past his defenses and lands exactly where you want it to. "You don't have to be perfect for me." This phrase might seem simple, but it shatters years of quiet pressure that many men carry. The pressure to perform, the pressure to always appear strong, reliable, controlled. Society teaches men that their worth is measured by how well they can hold it all together. But deep down, they wonder, what if I fall apart? What if I'm not enough? Will she still love me? When you whisper, "You don't have to be perfect for me," especially in moments when he's relaxed, raw, and physically close to you, something extraordinary happens. His heart softens, his breathing his shoulders might subtly drop because you've just told him, "I accept you not for your perfection but for your truth." You're telling him that you're not here to judge, to fix, or to demand. You're here to embrace the man behind the armor. And here's why this phrase is a deep emotional unlock. It speaks to the part of him that is terrified of failure, the part that believes love is conditional, the part that wonders if he's only worthy when he's strong. When you cut through all that noise and offer him unconditional space to be imperfect, you give him the rarest emotional experience, a feeling of home. The power of this phrase comes not just from saying it but from how you deliver it. You don't rush it. You don't blurt it out like a checklist. You say it slowly, with weight, with tenderness. Maybe you're tracing gentle circles on his skin, or you're resting your head on his chest when you softly say, "You don't have to be perfect for me." Let it linger in the silence that follows. Don't rush to fill the space. Give him the chance to absorb it, to feel it sink into the parts of him he usually hides from the world. Most women compliment his looks, his success, his skills. That's what he hears every day. But when you speak to his humanity, you separate yourself from everyone else. You become the woman who doesn't just adore his strength. You embrace his flaws, his cracks, his unfinished pieces. This phrase isn't about lowering standards. It's about creating safety. When a man feels safe with you, not just physically but emotionally, you become his soft place to land. And no matter where life takes him, he'll always look for that place again. He'll always look for you. So when you say, "You don't have to be perfect for me," you're not just comforting him in the moment. You're building a home in his heart, a place no other woman can touch. And that's the key to unlocking the deepest parts of who he really is. There's a difference between a man liking you and a man becoming obsessed with you. Attraction might bring him close, but obsession is what keeps him coming back, mentally replaying your words, your voice, your presence, long after you're gone. And the bridge between attraction and obsession is emotional impact. One of the most effective ways to spark that obsession is through a phrase that subtly flips his emotional world upside down. A phrase that quietly tells him, "You're not just any man to me, you're the man I can't replace." The phrase is, "No one has ever made me feel this way before." Now let's be clear, it's not the sentence itself that holds the power. It's the emotional weight you attach to it in the moment you say it. These words hit differently when his walls are down, when his breathing slows, when his guard is completely off. It's in those moments when he's closest to you physically and emotionally that this phrase strikes his subconscious like lightning. Here's why it's so powerful. This sentence subtly tells him that he's the exception to your life story. You've probably known people, you've probably had experiences, but he's the one who stands out. And the human mind is wired to crave significance. We all want to feel like we matter, like we've made an unforgettable mark on someone else's life. When you say, "No one has ever made me feel this way before," you're feeding his deepest desire to be irreplaceable in your world. But here's the twist. It works best when you say it softly, without over-explaining. Let the simplicity of the phrase do the work. Let the silence that follows wrap around both of you. The silence after those words is when the phrase echoes the loudest in his mind. The reason this sparks obsession is because it plays into what psychologists call emotional exclusivity. You're not just giving him a moment, you're giving him a space inside you that no one else has ever touched. That exclusivity is addictive. It makes him wonder, what exactly did I do? What makes me different? What is it about me that no one else could offer her? And when a man starts questioning that, when he starts looking for the answer, you've already won, because the search itself keeps him emotionally attached to you. What's more, this phrase creates a personal emotional story between you and him. People become obsessed with their own stories, especially when they feel like they've written a chapter no one else can replicate. You're giving him that story. The key to making this stick: say it when it feels real to you. Don't script it. Don't force it. Feel it. Maybe when he's holding you like no one else has. Maybe when you catch yourself genuinely lost in him. When you let your guard down and say, "No one has ever made me feel this way before," it lands because it's not just words, it's your truth in that moment. That's what stays with him. That's what he replays in his mind at night, wondering if anyone else could ever make you feel that way. And whether he's across the room or across the city, he will carry that question with him. That's the seed of obsession. It's not about drama. It's not about playing games. It's about leaving a quiet emotional fingerprint on his heart that he can't rub off. And that's how you make him crave you in a way that no one else ever could. One of the biggest reasons some women struggle to build deep emotional connections, especially during intimacy, is because they unknowingly make subtle mistakes that push men away emotionally, even when everything seems physically perfect. And the hardest part is, these mistakes often go unnoticed because no one talks about them. But the truth is, what you do and say in those tender, vulnerable moments has the power to either draw a man closer or quietly create distance. The first mistake is being emotionally absent. You can be physically present and still be mentally distant. When you go through the motions without really being there, without feeling connected, without fully locking into the energy between you and him, it sends an unspoken message. This moment doesn't really matter. And whether he realizes it consciously or not, he will feel it. Men may not always have the words for it, but they can sense when you're disconnected. What he craves is your full presence, your eye contact, your touch, your soft breathing that tells him you're as emotionally invested as he is. If you're distracted, thinking about something else, or simply rushing through the moment, he'll feel like he's just filling time instead of sharing something real. The second mistake is using generic language. Saying things that sound copied from movies or rehearsed lines completely kills emotional depth. When you use cliches like "you're amazing" or "this is perfect," it feels empty because those phrases are universal. They could be said to anyone. What makes a man feel connected to you is when your words feel personal. When you say something that could only come from your unique experience with him, it sticks. When you speak from how you specifically feel in that moment, Without overthinking, you create intimacy that no one else can replicate. The third mistake is making it about performance instead of connection. Sometimes women get so caught up in trying to impress that they focus on how they look, whether they're doing things right, or whether he's enjoying himself physically, without realizing that the part he remembers most is how you made him feel emotional. A man is far more likely to become obsessed with a woman who is completely comfortable, authentic, and emotionally vulnerable, than with someone who's perfect but emotionally guarded. Trying to perform instead of genuinely connecting can leave him feeling like something is missing, even if everything seems flawless on the surface. Another silent mistake is rushing the moment. When women feel uncomfortable with emotional closeness, they tend to move quickly through intimacy to get it over with. But the moments that create lasting emotional bonds are often the slow ones, the lingering touches, the unspoken pauses, the soft eye contact that says, "I want to be here, I'm not rushing away." When you rush, you rob both of you of the chance to fully absorb each other. Men feel emotionally safe when time slows down, when you're not in a hurry to move on to the next thing. Lastly, a huge mistake is silence when it matters most. Many women think silence is sex. And yes, there are times when silence is powerful. But when he's opening up, when he's leaning into emotional closeness, when he's vulnerable, you need to speak. You need to tell him how you feel, how he makes you feel, and what this moment means to you. Silence in the wrong places can feel like emotional rejection. Your words during these times are not just words, they are the emotional anchors he will cling to later. The smallest shift can change everything. When you stop making these subtle mistakes, you unlock the door to real emotional closeness. You become unforgettable, not because you were perfect, but because you were real, present, and emotionally wide open. And that's what a man remembers forever. Sometimes all it takes is one sentence to make a man emotionally addicted to you. One simple, unexpected phrase that latches onto his mind and plays on repeat, over and over, whether he's with you, alone, or even when he's trying to focus on something else. But here's the truth most women miss. It's not about complicated strategies, manipulation, or acting like someone you're not. It's about saying something that makes him feel emotionally chosen in a way he's never felt before. The secret phrase is, "I still feel you, even when you're not here." At first glance, this might seem subtle. But let me tell you why this phrase is a psychological trigger that can leave a man completely hooked on you. When you say this, you're telling him two powerful things in one breath. First, you're making him feel significant. You're saying that his presence leaves such a deep mark on you that even his absence can't erase it. Second, you're creating what psychologists call emotional continuity. You're planting the idea that he's not just part of your life in the moment, but that he lingers in your thoughts, in your body, in your heart, long after he's gone. Men crave this feeling more than they admit. They want to know that they live inside your emotional world, that they leave behind a trace that no other man can replace. And here's what makes this phrase addictive. It creates curiosity and longing inside his mind. It makes him wonder how you feel him when he's not there. Does his scent stay with you? Do you replay his words? Do you crave his touch? You've told him just enough to light a fire in his imagination, but left it open enough for him to fill in the blanks. And that's what keeps him coming back, needing more of you. But for this phrase to work at its deepest level, it has to be said with complete sincerity. It can't sound rehearsed. It can't feel like a line. It must feel like a confession. Something that almost slipped out because you couldn't hold it back. Imagine this, you're lying close, his breathing is slowing. You run your fingers softly along his arm. And in that quiet, raw moment, you whisper, "I still feel you, even when you're not here." And then you say nothing. You let those words float in the silence. You let him feel the weight of what you've just admitted. Why is the silence after this phrase so important? Because that's when the emotional hooks set in. His brain will replay the sentence, trying to figure out exactly what it means, wondering why you still feel him, wondering how deep his effect on you really is. That mental replay is what fuels obsession. It makes him feel emotionally present in your life even when you're apart. This is not about making him chase you. It's about making him crave the unique emotional experience he can only have with you. Because once a man feels that he's living inside your mind, that he has a permanent emotional presence in you, it's almost impossible for him to emotionally detach. And here's the part most women overlook. When you make him feel this emotionally connected, his addiction to you isn't about what you do for him. It's about who he becomes when he's with you. He feels like more than just a man. He feels irreplaceable. And when you become the woman who gives him that feeling, there's no going back for him. Say it gently. Say it when it feels real. and then let the magic of that phrase work in his heart. I still feel you, even when you're not here. At the end of the day, every woman who truly wants to own a man's heart and mind must understand one thing. It's not about control, it's about connection. It's not about having power over him. It's about creating a space where he wants to stay, wants to open up, and chooses you over and over again, even when he has other options. The truth is, most women are taught to focus on surface-level tactics, how to look good, how to be desirable, how to keep his attention in the short term. But the women who actually become unforgettable, the ones who live in his thoughts, who change the way he feels, who leave emotional fingerprints he can't wipe away, those women master something far more powerful: emotional depth. Owning his heart and mind doesn't come from chasing perfection. It comes from being emotionally present when he least expects it. It's in the quiet moments when you say the things he didn't know he needed to hear. It's in the soft confessions, the eye contact you don't break, the way you make him feel completely safe to be his most unfiltered self. When you speak to a man's heart, you unlock the part of him he rarely shows the world. You reach beyond his body and into his core, and that's where true connection is built. But here's where most women miss it. They think they need to constantly prove their worth to earn his attention, to impress him. In reality, the most magnetic thing you can offer is authenticity. The ability to fully be yourself, to speak from your heart without fear, to be raw, to be vulnerable, and to let him see the real you. When you stop trying to be the perfect version of what you think he wants and start being the most present version of who you really are, that's when you own his heart. It's not about flawless words, it's about the right words at the right moment. It's about making him feel that being with you isn't just exciting, it's emotionally safe. When a man feels emotionally safe, he naturally opens up. He craves your presence. He connects your voice, your energy, and your touch with home. That's what leaves a permanent mark. And remember, the most addictive relationships are the ones where you can make him feel two things at the same time: comfort and excitement. He feels calm in your presence, but also alive and wanted. He feels secure, but also challenged in the most beautiful way. When you become the woman who can hold both of those energies, you own not just his attention, you own his emotional world. This isn't about playing games. It's about showing up in a way that most people are too afraid to. It's about being the rare woman who isn't scared to say, I see you, I choose you, and you don't have to be perfect for me. Because when a man feels chosen as he is, he doesn't look elsewhere. He doesn't chase distractions, he steps. So as we wrap this up, remember, the real key to owning his heart and mind is not found in manipulation, distance, or pretending you don't care. It's found in how deeply you're willing to show up and speak to the parts of him that no one else dares to reach. If you can do that, you won't need to beg for love, chase his attention, or wonder if he's thinking about you, because he will. You'll live in his mind long after you've left the room, and that's how you truly own his heart forever.